15 amazing facts about Russia. A country unlike any other on Earth, Russia is not only the largest nation in the world, but also a colossal geographical puzzle. Did you know that Russia spans 11 time zones? This means that when people in Moscow are having breakfast, those in Vladivostok are getting ready for bed. This country shares borders with 16 other nations, more than any other country on the planet. Theoretically, you could travel from Europe to Asia without ever leaving Russian territory. The climate in Russia is also full of mysteries and extremes. In winter, there are places so cold that boiling water instantly turns to ice. Oymyakon in Siberia is the coldest inhabited place on Earth, with temperatures dropping to 67. The capitals, Moscow and St. Petersburg, are covered by a blanket of white snow during winter, but summer explodes with vibrant colors, featuring the legendary white nights, where the sun hardly ever sets. Russia covers more than 17 million square kilometers, with over 70% of its area in Asia and more than 20% in Europe. However, here is a strange fact. Over 70% of Russia's population lives in the European portion, while the vast Asian territory is so sparsely populated that there are regions where you can travel hundreds of kilometers without spotting a single soul. With a population of about 144 million, as of 2024, Russia is home to more than 190 ethnic groups, from Russians and Tatars to small tribes in the Arctic who still rely on nature and reindeer herding. The official language is Russian, but over 100 other languages are spoken across the country. In some regions, people use various native languages. There is even a village in Dagestan where residents can speak more than 10 different dialects just to converse with their neighbors. If there is one country that can amaze you from every angle, it is Russia, a land of the unimaginable. Fact 14. The homeland of magnificent women. When the topic is Russian women, many immediately think of girls who look like they stepped out of a fairy tale, with deep blue or enigmatic brown eyes, skin soft as snow, tall figures and an elegant bearing. They are not just beautiful. Russian women are also strong, sharp, and resilient. These are women who can walk in high heels through the freezing snow while managing a business or working in demanding fields like science, technology, and art. They particularly value knowledge. It is no accident that Russia holds the world's highest rate of female university graduates. A Russian woman can speak several foreign languages, debate literature and philosophy, and then dance seductively like a queen. Their self-confidence and graceful presence turn heads. While South American women are recognized for their warmth, passion, and vibrant lifestyles, Russian women possess a mysterious and reserved beauty that is still incredibly captivating. Despite being strong and autonomous, Russian women are also very feminine and cherish traditional values. They can love wholeheartedly, but they will also walk away with dignity if they are not valued. Russian women are not just beautiful. They live beautifully, think beautifully, and do everything with soul. Once you are drawn to them, you won't be able to forget. If you want us to share some tips on how to successfully win over a Russian girl, please leave a comment with the number 8. An interesting fact is that Russia currently faces a strong gender imbalance, with 86.6 men for every 100 women, meaning there are about 10 million more women than men. This, combined with the desire for self-improvement and the search for new opportunities, has led many Russian women to open up to international relationships. Many believe that European and American men tend to be more romantic than Russian men and give more priority to equality in marriage and family. As a result, the trend of Russian women seeking foreign partners is on the rise, especially through online dating platforms and social media. If you are interested in popular dating apps to connect with them, please leave a comment with the number 9. When dating Russian women, you will discover that they are the most wonderful women in the world. Fact 13. Expat life in Moscow. If there is a city that embodies fascinating contrasts, it is Moscow, the vast, glamorous and challenging capital of Russia. Moscow is a city where you can see a super-modern shopping mall right next to a historic church from the 16th century. Cultural icons like the Kremlin, the historical heart of Moscow associated with the most significant events in Russia, St. Basil's Cathedral, one of the most impressive architectural masterpieces in the world, with its vibrant, colorful domes, and Red Square, the Bolshoi Theater, are not just tourist destinations, but also sources of pride for Muscovites. Life in Moscow is not for the slow-paced. The locals are always in a rush, from businessmen in fine suits running into skyscrapers to students with coffee cups hurrying to catch the subway for class. But do not be fooled by this rush, because when the sun sets, Moscow transforms into a different scene. Cozy cafes, top-tier art performances, and streets illuminated by twinkling lights. If you think the subway is just a public transport system, then you need to visit the Moscow Metro, where each station is a work of art, nicknamed the Underground Palace. The stations are adorned with murals, dazzling chandeliers, and intricate sculptures. But do not get too caught up in the beauty, because the fast pace of Moscow waits for no one. Locals dash onto trains at lightning speed, and if you block the escalator, be prepared for death stares from the natives. Moscow is not only home to magnificent structures, but also to streets with unique charm. Arbat is the oldest pedestrian street in Moscow, where you can watch street performers, enjoy cozy little cafes, and buy traditional matryoshka dolls. Meanwhile, Tverskaya Street is a completely different universe, luxurious, modern, and bustling, where high-end fashion stores and expensive restaurants operate 24 hours a day. And if you think winter in Moscow is just snow and bone-chilling cold, you underestimate the resilience of the locals. When temperatures drop to 20, Muscovites stroll through the streets in luxurious fur coats, sipping hot mulled wine and enjoying vibrant Christmas markets. Strangely, when temperatures rise to 0 in March, the locals are ready to shed their coats and call it spring. Moscow is not just the capital of Russia. It is a capital that will leave you with experiences full of contrasts. Fact 12. Living in the coldest places on the globe. Do you think you could survive in a place where temperatures can drop to 67? Welcome to Oymyakon, the coldest inhabited place in the world. Here, water freezes the instant it is poured, ink cannot write because it is frozen, and cars must be left running all night to avoid becoming blocks of ice. But the most astonishing thing is that the local inhabitants lead completely normal lives. In Yamal and Yakutia, when roads are covered with ice and snow, the police cannot use cars and must patrol mounted on reindeer. That is just everyday life there. Interestingly, in the Chukotka and Norilsk regions, polar bears often wander into villages searching for food. Some even knock on people's doors, as if asking for dinner. Local authorities frequently warn residents not to go out at night, as no one knows if a white bear is casually strolling down the street. But perhaps the strangest thing about Russians is their appreciation for sunbathing in the snow. When spring arrives, especially in Siberia and Moscow, many people do not hesitate to lie down in the snowy fields to soak up the sun, enjoying a bit of rare sunlight after a long winter. Russians also have a special passion for ice cream, to the point where they are willing to eat it outdoors, even when it is 30. In Moscow and St. Petersburg, you will always find busy ice cream stands, regardless of how cold it is. If you ever thought you could survive the freezing winter, try visiting Oymyakon to experience the true winter. Fact 11. Russians prefer Lada, even when they could buy luxury cars. In Russia, you might see Mercedes cruising down the streets and BMWs parked in front of fancy restaurants. But on snowy and muddy roads, there is only one true warrior that overcomes all challenges: the Lada. The Lada does not need to be luxurious because it was made to survive in the most severe environments. While BMWs struggle with thick snow and Mercedes hibernate due to frozen engines, a Lada only needs a turn of the key to start and drive normally. But what is the most intriguing part? A Lada costs only between $9,000 and $20,000, which is 7 to 10 times cheaper than a Mercedes or BMW. Even so, Russians still choose the Lada. Why? The answer is simple: because the Lada is not just an ordinary car, it embodies the Russian spirit. It is tough, durable, and does not back down in the face of frost or rough roads. No car is more appropriate for the Russian terrain than the Lada. It does not need paved roads. It can glide over snow, ice, and even the toughest paths.
Fact 10. The tea culture in Russia. If coffee is the soul of Italy, tea is the vital breath of Russia. Tea in Russia is a cultural ritual, a symbol of hospitality, and above all, warmth during the freezing winter. Russians do not rush their tea. They savor it slowly, relaxing, turning each cup into a bridge that connects family and friends. Notably, Russians have a unique way of drinking tea. They do not dissolve sugar in the cup. Instead, they hold a sugar cube or honey in their mouths while sipping the tea, allowing the sweetness to dissolve with each sip.
Tea is often enjoyed with fruit preserves, varenye, cookies, and dark bread, creating an unmistakable flavor. Offering tea in Russia is a sign of hospitality. A guest never leaves without being offered a cup of tea. Therefore, if you have the opportunity to visit Russia, do not refuse a hot cup of tea. It is the best way to feel the warmth of the people here. Fact 9. Curious Russian customs. Would you dare jump into an icy lake in the middle of a harsh winter? For many Russians, this is not an act of folly, but rather a way to train their health and spirit. Every January, thousands participate in the baptism under the ice, diving into freezing waters in the shape of a cross to cleanse their bodies. The cold might make others shiver, but for them, it is a refreshing experience. Before each trip, Russians have the habit of sitting in silence for a moment to reflect, as they believe this will ward off misfortune and prepare their minds for the journey. And if you are walking through the streets of Moscow and smile at a stranger, do not be surprised if they look at you as if you were an alien. Russians rarely smile at strangers, but once you become their friend, you will find that they are genuinely warm, sincere, and generous. If you get lost or need help, they will do their best to assist you, even if they do not speak English well. Russians have a strong tradition of hospitality, and if you are invited to their home, you will not leave hungry. But here is a tip. If you visit a Russian's home, never go empty-handed. A bottle of vodka, a box of chocolates, or a bouquet of flowers are common gifts that show respect and courtesy. And if you plan to give flowers to a Russian, be cautious. If it is to congratulate someone, choose an odd number, 1, 3, 5, 7, etc. Even numbers are reserved for funerals. Gifting the wrong number of flowers can cause misunderstandings, so be careful if you want to demonstrate your finesse. Fact 8. The birch forest. If there is one tree that can represent the spirit and beauty of Russia, it is the birch tree. Stretching from the European plains to the icy regions of Siberia, the white birch forests resemble a natural silk, reflecting the gentle yet resilient soul of the Russian people. They not only beautify the landscape but also appear in poetry, music, painting, and the consciousness of Russians. They believe that birch trees bring luck and protection, so they plant them around their homes, use birch wood for handicrafts, and even collect the sap to make a nutritious drink. When you enter a Russian banya, sauna, you will see bundles of birch branches used for massage, promoting blood circulation and relaxation, a tradition that has existed for centuries. If you have ever heard the songs Oi Tsvetet, Oh It's Not Evening, or Beryoza, birch, you will feel the deep longing for home that every Russian has for this tree. During the summer festival, Troitsa, Trinity, Russians have a tradition of weaving birch wreaths and dancing around green branches as a prayer for love, health, and happiness. Fact 7. The most unique tribe in the world, the Chukchi. The Chukchi tribe living in the Chukotka region in the far north of Russia, where winters can last up to 9 months, is not only famous for its extraordinary survival skills in temperatures of 50 circle text, but also for its strange and interesting traditions that pique curiosity. While elsewhere people rely on trees, for the Chukchi, reindeer are everything. For the Chukchi community, reindeer are not just a means of transport, but also a source of life. They herd reindeer for food, such as meat, milk, and skin for clothing and other utilities. The entire tribe moves with herds of thousands of reindeer, living in yaranga tents heated by fire. The Chukchi believe that nature has a soul, and fire is a sacred source of life. They perform rituals to thank the reindeer spirits after each hunting season, believing this helps maintain balance with nature. Despite living in harsh conditions, the Chukchi wear vibrant clothing adorned with traditional patterns, perform vigorous dances, and sing songs about their ancestors' journeys. Every evening, families gather around the campfire singing ancient songs about deities and Arctic legends. Additionally, the Chukchi community has some of the most unique and strange traditional customs in the world, such as initiation rituals for men that test their courage and strength, or the tradition where a man's wife hosts guests overnight to demonstrate hospitality. If you want to know more about this tradition, please leave a comment with the number 2. Fact 6. Breathtaking tourist destinations. In the heart of magnificent St. Petersburg, the Winter Palace stands out as a living work of art. Once the luxurious residence of the Russian Tsars, with its white walls, emerald green roofs, and stunning gold details, it has become one of the most majestic buildings in the world. It is not only the largest museum in Russia, but also one of the greatest art treasures on the planet, rivaling the Louvre in Paris. From paintings by Leonardo da Vinci, Rembrandt, and Van Gogh to ancient Greek sculptures, every step in the Hermitage feels like a journey through human history. Suzdal, on the other hand, is the heart of ancient Russia. If Moscow is the modern center, Suzdal is covered with churches, topped with vibrant onion domes, ancient monasteries, and traditional wooden houses, reflecting the old Russian style. There are no skyscrapers or hustle and bustle, just peace, tranquility, and the feeling of stepping into a fairy tale. If you love the sea and skiing, you cannot miss Sochi. Located along the Black Sea coast, Sochi is one of the most famous resort cities in Russia, boasting white sand beaches, a warm climate year-round, and luxurious resorts. You can sunbathe, swim, and savor fresh seafood at Riviera Beach, and then explore the vast forests with streams, waterfalls, and rich flora and fauna in Sochi National Park. Experiencing the Krasnaya Polyana ski resort, known for its stunning snow-capped mountains and for hosting the 2014 Winter Olympics, is also a must. There are many other exciting destinations in Russia. Please leave a comment with the number 4 if you wish to know more. Fact 5. Russian ballet. The pinnacle of artistic mastery. When the subject is ballet, one cannot overlook Russia, the cradle of great dancers, magnificent theaters, and timeless performances that captivate the world. Since the 18th century, when ballet was introduced to Russia, it has evolved from a performing art into a cultural treasure and a source of national pride. Renowned theaters like the Bolshoi in Moscow and the Mariinsky in St. Petersburg have produced legendary ballets such as Swan Lake, The Nutcracker, and Sleeping Beauty, mesmerizing audiences worldwide. Russian ballet is not for the faint of heart. To achieve feather-light jumps and gentle breeze spins, dancers undergo decades of rigorous training, enduring strenuous exercises to the point where many say they do not just dance with their feet, but with their soul. Only the most resilient and strong-spirited women survive the demands of this art form. The audience's deep appreciation for beauty, history, and tradition makes every performance unforgettable. You can feel an entire world of emotions conveyed in every movement. If you get the chance, try to visit the Bolshoi or Mariinsky Theater to witness the magic of Russian ballet, where every leap is a living work of art. Fact 4. Vodka. The essence of Russia. If there is one thing that can be called the national essence of Russia, it is vodka. More than just a drink, vodka is deeply interwoven into the history, culture, and lifestyle of the Russian people, becoming a symbol of friendship, connection, and legendary stories. Russian vodka typically has an alcohol content of 40% and is made from wheat, potatoes, or rye, known for its absolute purity. This is also why Russian vodka is consistently ranked among the finest spirits in the world. In Russia, vodka should not be sipped slowly, like wine. It should be shot all at once, and after drinking, you should not immediately put the glass down on the table. Instead, you should hold it for a moment to show respect. But never drink vodka without a reason, as Russians always have specific rituals for each toast. No one drinks vodka without saying a few words of blessing, The most common toast is "Za zdorovi," which means to health or to friendship. Therefore, if one day you are invited to share a shot of vodka in Russia, do not hesitate to down it, because it is not just a drink. It is a part of the Russian soul. Fact 3. Unforgettable delicious dishes. First up is borscht, a vibrant soup with a rich red color from beets, which is a culinary symbol of Russia. With a robust beef broth combined with vegetables and a dollop of smetana, sour cream. It is a dish that warms the soul. Next, we have pelmeni, the Russian version of dumplings, featuring thin dough filled with minced beef, lamb, or pork. What makes pelmeni special is the cooking method. They are boiled in hot broth and served with melted butter or sour cream, creating an irresistibly rich and flavorful dish. Then there is beef stroganoff, the world-famous creamy beef dish. Tender strips of meat are sautéed with onions and mushrooms in a smooth, creamy sauce, usually served with egg noodles or mashed potatoes, resulting in a refined and savory flavor. Have you heard of blini? These thin Russian crepes are made from flour and can be topped with a variety of ingredients. Tourists particularly love caviar blini, a delicate combination of soft pancakes and the exquisite salty flavor of expensive Russian caviar. Additionally, blini can be enjoyed with honey, sour cream, or fresh fruits. Finally, there is olivier salad, also known as Russian salad, a popular appetizer at parties and celebrations, combining potatoes, carrots, pickles, eggs, chicken, or sausage mixed with rich mayonnaise. This dish offers a harmonious and easy-to-eat flavor that is especially appreciated by international visitors. Fact 2. Unique festivals. The White Nights Festival in St. Petersburg takes place from late May to mid-July. The White Nights phenomenon is a miraculous natural event when the sun never fully sets in St. Petersburg, transforming the city into an endless celebration. During the festival, there are grand art performances at the Mariinsky Theater, including musicals, ballet, and opera. The festival also features fireworks and the legendary Scarlet Sails sailing on the Neva River. Visitors can stroll through the streets and enjoy the night that feels as bright as day. Another unique festival is Orthodox Christmas, celebrated on January 7th each year. Unlike Western Christmas, December 25th, Russians who follow the Eastern Orthodox tradition celebrate Christmas on January 7th, according to the Julian calendar. People gather in large churches to attend the Christmas Eve prayer service. This is also a time for families to come together and enjoy warm meals. In some rural areas, there is still the tradition of children going from house to house, singing Christmas carols and receiving gifts. Orthodox Christmas is not only a religious holiday, but also an occasion for Russians to express unity, reverence, and preserve their unmistakable cultural values. Fact 1. The cost of living in Russia. Are you thinking about living in Russia and wondering what the monthly expenses would be? The good news is that the cost of living in Russia is quite reasonable, especially compared to the US and Europe. Housing is the biggest expense, with an apartment in Moscow or St. Petersburg ranging from $195 to $320 per month.
Food costs vary depending on lifestyle. Dining at simpler restaurants costs about $2 to $3 per meal, while cooking at home can help maintain a budget of $180 to $240 per month. Grocery shopping costs around $35 per month, while utilities like electricity, water, and heating average about $52 per month. Public transportation in Russia is extremely affordable.
If you are a student, a subway pass costs only about $6 per month, while a regular ticket is around $34 per month. Gym memberships range from $2 to $40 per month, and a simple dental checkup costs about $13 to $40. Overall, the total cost of living in Russia typically ranges from $580 to $1,050 per month depending on your city and lifestyle.